Well, hello everybody, how are you doing this fine day? I hope you're enjoying your week. I feel like I owe you guys a bit of an explanation. I know that I haven't actually made one of these videos in a very, very long time, response videos I'm talking about. And a lot of people have been requesting that I continue making the response videos for all of my survival challenges. Because, I mean, I get it, they're cool. I like the response videos too. It's a fun way for me to directly communicate with you guys and we can have conversations and do the whole build community thing. It's cool. But there are legitimate reasons as to why I stopped doing them. Basically, two reasons. And I'm just going to explain it to you real quick so you know why it is I haven't really been doing them. So first reason is the videos just started getting way too many comments. One of the things that made making the response videos so appealing is that it didn't take a whole lot of time to actually make them. Because I had already edited everything together for the original video, when I made the response video, I can just use all the same footage. So editing time was cut in half, which allowed me to get the video out very, very quickly. But that was back when my videos only got like 200 comments each. Now, some of my videos have thousands of comments, and it takes so long to actually go through the comments and make a list of points that I need to actually talk about that they actually started taking more time than the base video. Like, for instance, this response video right now that you're watching, it took me 3 hours to get through over 800 comments of the original video, and I didn't even finish getting through them all. I just got tired of reading them all, and I'm like, all right, I have enough. I'll just go make the video now. Now, second reason I stopped making the response videos is kind of like a spin-off of the first reason, and that's basically that a response video is guaranteed to get less views than the original video that it is a response to. That's pretty obvious. No one's gonna watch a response video if they haven't seen the original. And this wasn't a problem when the response videos took way less time to make than the initial video. Now they take more time to make than the original video, and they're guaranteed to get less views. It just made it not really worth it to make these types of videos anymore. The only way I can really see myself continuing to do the response videos like this is if I could figure out how to work like a stream, and then I could just respond to y'all's comments immediately and post the stream directly on to YouTube so that, you know, it doesn't take as much time in editing and all that different kind of stuff. Problem is, I'm still trying to figure out how to stream things. It's like a fucking weird Hellraiser puzzle box that I can't quite figure out. I don't know technology. It's definitely not my strong suit. So once I figure out that fucking mind bender, then I'll do all sorts of things over stream. I don't know how to do it right now. But none of that matters today, because today the gods came down and are bestowing upon the people a response video. And that's mainly because I made some major fuck ups with this video. So, you know, I kinda have to address it. But I've wasted enough of your time. Let's get started. All right, the same as usual, we're going to address this by each particular faction. I'm going to talk about their arguments against Helldivers, then Xenomorphs, then yada, 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 yada. You get it, you get it. So the first argument I kept hearing about Helldivers constantly is that no, I was wrong about them being an elite warrior group, and they are actually completely untrained or just tossed in there, and they're basically cannon fodder. I addressed this in the initial video, but people disagreed with me, and they gave their own arguments as to why. And basically the arguments boil down to two things. First one being that the average age for a Helldiver when they join the Helldivers is 18, which is true. It's 18.7. And the second argument is that the average life expectancy for a Helldiver is only 2 minutes after they hit the ground, which is also true. But that doesn't make them not elite soldiers, and I'm about to explain right now because you guys missed some very serious context. For one, about the average age for a Helldiver entering the Helldivers being 18, because it should be noted that's the age they enter. That's not the average age of a Helldiver currently. The problem with this argument is that it misunderstands exactly how the culture of Super Earth works. For instance, the SEAF, which is the Super Earth military, their minimum age to join is 7 years old. You can join the military at 7. And in order to become a Helldiver, you had to be an SEAF officer first. Which means, yes, while the average Helldiver is 18 when they become a Helldiver, they have up to 11 years of military experience before that. I mean, for fuck's sake, Super Earth culture dictates that at age 10, you start learning how to train with firearms. By age 16, the government gives you a free gun. That's if you're not in the military. If you're just a citizen of Super Earth, your average 16-year-old in Super Earth is better trained than most straight up like real military operatives. It's ingrained in their very culture. And I feel like the people who are using these arguments didn't actually read it in the game. They just heard about it or read it on a wiki or something, because right next to where it says the average entrance age for a Helldivers 18, it says that the survival rate of people who get through Helldiver training is only 21%. That means 79% of people who attempt to become Helldivers don't fucking survive. How could you possibly say that that's not an elite soldier? On top of that, you have all kinds of other shit. Like, for instance, the SCAF boot camp training that people can enter at age 7 is 7 to 9 months long. The average boot camp for the American military is only 2 months long. So even your average bullshit military operatives who enter the military are at bare minimum 3 times more heavily trained than our real world soldiers. In the universe of Helldivers, the entire planet of Mars has been turned into one giant military camp where they send soldiers to go be trained before throwing them on the front lines. Now, while it is true that there was a part in Helldivers 2 where you have to go and basically free this Earth because Super Earth wanted to build a training camp where they can put people through intensive 72-hour training sessions before putting them into war. That is true, and that would be a good argument. The problem is that was only built after the war started so that they can draft people as quickly as possible and get them into battle. That's not the norm. You don't normally get only 72 hours of training. You normally get way more than that, several months of training. This was just like a quick training for the drafted people. And even though I already said this in the previous video, people just didn't believe me for some reason. That Helldiver tutorial that you go through before you actually enter, people keep arguing that that is the only training that they have before they are sent off as Helldivers. No, it's not. I don't know why people keep saying this. Some people even commented that the guy you go to train for straight up says that this is the start of your Helldiver training. No, he doesn't. Where is that said? Nowhere is that said. When you arrive to that planet, you're already wearing your Helldiver armor. You're not wearing the SCAF armor because you've already gone through the Helldiver training. All this is essentially the last exam before you earn your cape and can go on to the battlefield. And as for the whole average survival duration of 2 minutes, I don't see how that lessens how each Helldiver is an elite warrior. I mean, you're talking about soldiers who have teams of 4-man hit squads sent down to planets with literally hundreds of people fighting against them, and oftentimes they survive. Like, we know the canon numbers of deaths on both sides. Since the current galactic war has started, we've lost 2 billion Helldivers. But the other side, automatons and terminatives, have lost 400 billion people. Isn't even fucking close. Like, just because a character gets sent in and dies super quickly does not mean that they were not elite trained. Are you gonna say that half the soldiers in the original Predator movie had shitty training because they were killed by the Predator immediately after seeing him? No, because the Predator is an equivalent threat. If you send Rambo down to an Earth to fight against a space marine and he dies instantly, that doesn't mean that Rambo wasn't well trained. Like, I just don't get this argument. These guys are literally outnumbered by the hundreds, sometimes thousands. It is not an unprecedented thing for a very elite soldier to be killed quickly if put up against insurmountable odds, which the Helldivers are constantly. You cannot play this game and see what these characters can do and come to the conclusion that they are not well trained. By the way they carry themselves, the incredible weight of shit that they have to carry around at all times while not becoming completely exhausted, all of the different weapon types they can use and how efficiently they can use it, all of the different crazy heavy machinery that they have skill with using. They are obviously trained. This is just such a ridiculous point to me. I don't get it. Oh my god, that was the first argument? This video is going to be so long. All right, argument number 2. I keep hearing this one, but people are saying that Helldivers are 7 feet tall. I don't know where they're getting this information. Like, I saw it once and I thought it was just a mistake, but I kept seeing it pop up. No, they're not 7 feet tall. You can, in the game, stand next to other regular sized people and you're of comparable size. You're not 7 feet tall. There's no evidence in the game that you're 7 feet tall. I don't know where this comes from. Maybe they're confusing with Space Marines because those motherfuckers are like 8 to 12 feet tall. But no, Helldivers are just like normal sized people. Super Earth has been lost. Okay, so in the video, I said that the Helldivers have fought against alien species for 100 years and have not lost their planet. They've been able to repel these species for 100 years straight. So the idea that these aliens will just easily be able to come to the planet and not get blown out of the fucking sky is very unlikely. And people said, well, no, actually, Super Earth has fell multiple times. This is a bit my fault and a bit y'all's fault, okay? I should have specified, but you guys should have paid attention. I said for the last 100 years, the first galactic war, in other words, the game of Helldivers 1, where the planet was lost, happened over 100 years ago. I don't find that particularly relevant because the technology of the Helldivers has improved drastically over the last 100 years, and they have not lost Super Earth within that 100 years. Now, some people did give a decent argument where they say that, well, that really doesn't matter because in the last 100 years, they've had just peace. The Galactic War ended 100 years ago, and they haven't been fighting that whole time. I only think that you can use that to an extent. While I will say, yes, it's true, the Galactic War ended 100 years ago, I'm not going to go as far as to say that they've had 100 years of peace. I mean, Super Earth culture is still extremely warlike. All of them are trained to be warriors from a very, very young age. This would make no sense if they've just had absolutely no combat whatsoever for 100 years. I just don't buy it, especially considering that the cyborgs and then later on the automatons have not ever at any point been wiped out. Like, maybe you could say that the bugs were captured and like they weren't a problem until they escaped their pens and then started breeding, and that could have just happened recently, but there's no reason that the automatons just disappeared for a whole 100 years and just inexplicably showed up at the same time the Terminids did. Super Earth was definitely dealing with some kind of combat in the last 100 years. There's no way. You can't have a culture like this in a peaceful society. They're a warlike society for a reason. But yeah, so for this one, I'll take like half credit for being wrong. I should have specified what I was talking about. The Helldivers are clones. This is another one that I saw tons of arguments for. This was a fan theory that the Helldivers were clones because they didn't know how they could just keep replenishing their units. But the creator of the game has stated multiple times, no, they're not clones. They are real people with real homes and real families. So yeah, that's been debunked by the creator. Super Earth is out of black fluid. Okay, so I made the argument originally that Super Earth is capable of destroying a planet because in Helldivers 2, they literally opened up a black hole where a planet was and destroyed it. So if there's ever a planet that they lose control of or any of these alien races get to a point where they're about to spread and cause a bunch of fucking problems, Super Earth can just blow up the planet. And then I was told in the comments section that that was actually the last of the dark matter that they had, and they got it from the Illuminates, and now the Illuminates aren't around anymore. They actually can't do that again. So it basically changes the argument where, yes, they could do the black hole thing, but only if this takes place before they used the rest of it on that bug planet. So I have a couple of things to say about this. One, they're only not going to have dark matter for like a couple of months because we already know they're bringing the Illuminates back. Once the Illuminates come back, they will then have access to dark matter yet again. So yeah, you could say that, but I mean, if any of these fights take place longer than just a couple of months, it'll be fine. They'll replenish their dark matter and then they can just start opening up black holes again. But also, they don't actually need the dark matter to destroy planets. Every single destroyer, of which they have countless, is stated to have enough firepower to level a small moon. That's just one destroyer. So even if they can't open up a black hole where the planet is, they could still carpet bomb the whole fucking planet into non-existence. I mean, they're still capable of destroying the surface of the world. That would be enough to wipe out aliens like the Thing and the Xenomorphs without ever having to blow up the actual planet itself. So yes, you guys are right on this one, but only like temporarily. Next up, we have the Xenomorph arguments. And the first argument is about the goddamn face shields. I could not believe how many comments I got telling me that the Xenomorphs can break through face shields and helmets because they do it in the first Alien movie against Kane. I know, I addressed this in the video. Like, I don't get it. Did they stop watching the video when they hear something they don't like? If they would have listened for less than a minute after that point, I literally explained why they won't be able to get through the fucking Helldivers helmets. Yes, I say the Helldivers have helmets, so the face huggers can't get through the helmets. I say that. And then like a minute later, I start talking about how the armor that they have is extremely highly resistant to acid because the bugs actually use acid. They use tons and tons of acid attacks. In fact, the gas attacks that are used by the Helldivers are also acid-based and have caustic properties, are stated to be able to melt through thick-plated armor and flesh. And there are armors that just straight up defend against this gas where they can just walk through without any troubles. Like, this was in the video, but I had like, I don't know, 30 comments telling me about this. Like, I already explained it. So here I am, explaining it again. Now, some people who actually did listen to the video did have some additional points. Like, they were saying that the Xenomorphs' acid should be stronger, but I don't see why. I mean, the fact that the caustic attacks are said in-game to be able to burn through plated armor means that it should have no issues. And the Helldivers armor can defend against it. I mean, they should be comparable. The only thing that we see Xenomorph's armor do is burn through the hull of a spaceship. But where's the evidence that the hull of those spaceships in Alien are any stronger or weaker than the armor of an automaton or a Helldiver? The Helldiver armor are stated to be created by the same titanium alloy that the destroyer ships are. So I don't understand why you think the Xenomorphs are better. They should be relatively comparable based on the feats that we see in both mediums. The only difference is the Helldivers actually defend against them with their armor, so that should be armor that's stronger than anything that Xenomorph has been shown to burn through. They should be fine. Standard weapons cannot kill Xenomorphs. So people were getting this from the game Alien Isolation, which admittedly I didn't play, but apparently there's a plot point involved in that game where they show that regular basic bitch machine guns and shit cannot hurt the Xenomorph, and you're only capable of hurting them once you get a pulse rifle. So by extension, any basic bitch weapon that the Helldivers have will not be able to hurt the Xenomorphs. Bullshit. You cannot compare guns from one universe to another. They are vastly different. The guns in Helldivers, even the basic bitch pistols and shit, are capable of shooting through armor plating and titanium alloy. That's every single weapon. Even weapons that are stated to not have any armor penetrative abilities can still kill fucking robots that are made of metal. But then you have weapons that do have light and medium armor penetration, something like the autocannon that can straight up shoot through a tank. You just can't argue the Xenomorph has that much armor or that the guns in Aliens are that powerful. They're not. They're never shown to be. That doesn't even include things like the explosives, energy weapons, flame weapons. Really, the only weapons that the Xenomorph should be immune to are the acid-based weapons. Everything else should work just fine. The Helldivers weapons are extremely fucking powerful. Next up, we have the Thing. The Thing can build spaceships. So yeah, in the first Thing movie, the Thing can build spaceships, and I had a lot of people argue with me that no, the Thing can leave the planet because the Thing can build its own spaceship. Yeah, I know. I don't get what this is an argument against. I never said that he couldn't leave the planet. I said that the Helldivers won't let him leave the planet because if he tries, they'll just blow his ship out of the fucking sky. But I never said he wasn't smart. People were saying that, oh, he's smarter than I'm saying he is. I never said he was dumb. Like, a lot of times people argue things I never said. Like, yeah, he's smart and he can leave the planet. Cool. He's still getting shot the fuck down before he ever gets out of the atmosphere. So I don't know. I don't get what the argument is here. The Thing can steal memories. Okay, so this is another one that's kind of half and half. I didn't say that he couldn't steal memories. I said that I wasn't really sure if he could steal memories because it's kind of made like ambiguous if he actually can. But people are saying yes, he can absolutely steal memories. I'm inclined to believe that he can steal memories simply because of how assimilation works. I mean, you're stealing their mind and everything else. Like, their brain is becoming a part of you now. So it would make sense that he would acquire their memories. The problem with that is I don't think it's going to make much of a difference because a lot of people were arguing that the Thing can mimic the person perfectly. That's not true. In fact, the actors in the movie were told to act in a way that felt off when they were the Thing to kind of give people watching the movie the hint that possibly they were the Thing. It's actually a plot point in the movie that the Thing doesn't act exactly how people act. It tries to mimic them as well as possible, but it's not human and it has trouble actually doing it. So the idea that they just become a perfect copy and that no one will ever find out who they are and they can steal the memories, I mean, yeah, they can, but it's an imperfect form of mimicry that was discovered very early on in the movie and was discovered multiple times. Gaps in the armor. I made the argument that because the Helldivers have full body armor that covers every part of them, that the Thing won't be able to contact it, and if he can't contact it, he can't assimilate with that person, meaning essentially he won't be able to assimilate with any Helldiver ever. The argument here that is pretty understandable is that the Thing only needs a single cell to touch the person in order to control that person, so he should be able to squeeze between the gaps of the armor and with one single cell touch the flesh and assimilate that Helldiver. My issue with that is there are no gaps in the armor. In Helldivers 1, you can literally fight on the moon. The moon doesn't have an atmosphere or oxygen. The only way it would be possible to do that is if it was a vacuum sealed fucking suit that supplied oxygen and shit. There can't be any gaps in the armor, otherwise you wouldn't be able to survive in a lot of these environments. There are certain planets that you can go to that are covered in fucking fire or like super frozen cold, damn near absolute zero, that cause serious issues, and the armor protects you from all of that. If there were gaps in the armor, it wouldn't protect you from planets that were so hot it would fry you alive without it. Now, there are pretty decent comebacks to this, whereas like the Viper Commando armor actually has like all of the person's arms showing and shit. That's true. That's the first armor that was introduced like that, and it sort of breaks the whole immersion of the armors, to be honest with you. But that only breaks it on planets where it's super hot or super cold. It still makes sense on planets where there's no oxygen because you still have the helmet and shit. So, kinda. But still, the vast majority of the Helldiver armors should be completely vacuum sealed and not have any gaps. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to be in fucking space with the armor. So no, the Thing's cells are not getting inside the armor. to assimilate the Helldiver. It will assimilate the planet in a couple of days. What a load of horse shit. I kept seeing this argument everywhere. People were saying that it takes a couple of days for the thing to fully spread across the whole planet. I think one guy even said it would take 24 hours and the whole planet would be overthrown and completely turned into just nothing left but the thing. I don't know where the fuck you guys are getting this, but in the first The Thing movie, they actually have a guy put some information in a computer and try and figure out how long it would take for the thing to take over 1980s Earth. The computer comes back telling him 3 years is how long it would take. The thing spreads by coming into contact with other beings. He's like playing tag, basically. In what fucking world would the thing be able to take over all of Mexico, United States, Canada, Brazil, all of them, and then travel across the ocean to the other side of the world and do all of this in just a couple of days or even 24 hours? No, it's gonna take a really long time. Even if the thing was airborne, which I heard some people arguing the thing was airborne, I don't think that's true, because if that was the case, everybody in the Thing movie would have been instantly turned, but whatever. Even if he was airborne viruses don't travel across the world that quickly. It still takes months and months and months and years for that to happen. So no, the thing is not taking over the entire planet in a couple of days. That's such a strange argument to me because the movie literally states it. That's the reason why the dude loses his fucking mind and starts breaking shit and stops them from communicating with the outside world. He isolates them because he sees how fast it's going to actually take over the world, and it's 3 years. And 3 years to take over one planet is more than enough time for the Helldivers to figure out what's going on and then carpet bomb the whole fucking planet into non-existence, completely wiping out the thing. The thing is a fucking ninja. So I had tons of variations of arguments that were basically something along the lines of the Helldivers will never be able to discover that the thing is even there. He's gonna stealth his way around the whole planet. He's gonna take over some things. He's gonna get on board a destroyer ship and leave the planet, and no one's gonna be the wiser. And he's just so amazing at stealth and subterfuge, and no, he's not. In the thing, he only has to take over like 6 or 7 people, and he fails to stealth his way through that because he instantly reveals himself at the beginning of the movie by turning into a mutant dog and just showing himself to like multiple people. He didn't have to do that. He could have just stayed a dog, but he didn't, because the thing is actually not that good at stealth. He's not that good at staying hid. This is actually the major weakness that the thing has, that the director purposely put in the movie when he told the actors to kind of act weird while you're playing the thing, because he wants to show that the thing kind of has issues with pretending to be a person. And that was just one location with like 8 dudes over the course of a day or two. If you're talking about several months and even years, he's gonna get fucking discovered. He's gonna get discovered easily. And when he is, and it's understood what he is, unlike the movie The Thing, where they weren't trying to hurt each other, the Helldivers have absolutely no issues with blowing up their own ships, killing all of their own people, setting an entire planet on blaze, killing innocent people in order to put this fucking thing down. All it's gonna take for them is to find out that it's there, and they're gonna wipe it out. And yes, they're gonna find out, because the thing is not a goddamn ninja. Terminids adapt. So this is an interesting one. Most of the arguments that people give me are arguments on how the people who are going through the survival challenge would do better than I said they would. This one's actually an argument of how the thing would have done worse, which I found interesting. In the original video, I said that the thing would not do particularly well against the humans or the automatons. The automatons, for obvious reasons, they're not biological, they can't be assimilated. And the humans, for reasons that I just explained. They'll be carpet bombed, they'll be flamed to hell. They're just too powerful for the thing to deal with. So I said they'll be able to spread among the Terminids, and the Terminids don't really have an effective way of actually fighting back against the thing. And if the thing went there, it would essentially just assimilate the entire planet without really any resistance. And people told me, no, that's bullshit, because the Terminids have the ability to adapt. And this is true. Over the course of a single month, they adapt and become completely immune to poison and toxic weaponry. The whole species just adapts to it. They adapted to be able to fly. They adapted to be able to use acid and caustic abilities as weapons. They adapted thick armor on top of their bodies that mimics the thick plate armor of a tank to defend against bullets. We know that they adapt. So people were saying that it's possible that they can actually adapt to the assimilation, and the thing being there would essentially just make them more powerful. And surprisingly, I'm inclined to agree. And the only real arguments I could think that someone would even give against this is that the thing also has adaptive powers, but that would be wrong because the thing doesn't have adaptive powers. The thing actually has a very structured power set that doesn't evolve or change all that much. It can shapeshift, assimilate biological life on contact, and it is weak to fire. And throughout all the movies and stories and all this, like, it never overcomes any of that. It never evolves into a next better way of assimilation. It never becomes immune to fire damage. Shape-shifting abilities doesn't increase or get better over time. It doesn't have adaptation abilities. And as I've already talked about, since it will take 3 years for the thing to fully assimilate 1980s Earth, you can assume it'll take a lot longer to do planets that aren't 1980s Earth, a super futuristic, overpowered planet. And if it took the Terminids a month to completely weed out the weakness that is the poison and toxins out of their entire species, then it's possible, with given enough time, it could actually adapt to the assimilation, which would basically change the argument and make it so that the thing can't really succeed against the humans, Terminids, or the automatons. He did real shit. Next up, we have the Kaiju from Pacific Rim, and this is the one that, this is the big one. This is the one that I fucked up. And let me explain as to what my fuck up was and how I fucked it up, because it's a funny story. So basically, everything I said about the origins of Kaiju was total bullshit. None of that was the case. They don't live in the center of the planet. They don't dig their way up. They weren't sent in prehistoric times to do that. All that's bullshit. They're actually sent through a portal from another universe by another bigger alien type life form. Yeah, I got all that shit wrong. Now let me explain to you why. So it's pretty funny. So basically, I have a list on my phone of different survival challenges that I want to do. I just make a list that builds up. There might be 30 or 40 different fucking universes on there that I plan on doing survival channels about at some point. Well, the night before I filmed the Pacific Rim section of the video, I added a movie onto that list known as Reign of Fire. If you've seen Reign of Fire, you lucky fuck. So it's a movie that came out back in 2002, and it stars Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey, and it's about dragons who live in the center of the earth and dig their way up to the surface, and then Christian Bale has to team up with Matthew McConaughey and fight these dragons. It's post-apocalyptic, it's all this stuff. Anyway, for whatever reason, because I added Reign of Fire to that list, when I started recording for the Pacific Rim section, I gave the origin of the dragons from fucking Reign of Fire. Like, I don't know what, like, I've seen Pacific Rim. People were saying in the comments, oh, this guy's never seen I've seen them. I've seen both the movies, never seen the show, admittedly, but I've seen the movies. And for whatever reason, I just confused the origin of Pacific Rim with the fucking dragons from Reign of Fire. Which is crazy, because I haven't seen Reign of Fire in like 10 years. I saw Pacific Rim like a year or two ago. I don't know what it was. Maybe because their origins are so similar. Like, they both come from below out of these sort of holes, and I don't know. I don't know what it was. But yeah, just know that the whole origin I gave for Pacific Rim in the original video was actually the origin of the dragons in fucking Reign of Fire. So, well, my bad. Totally, there's really no, it was just wrong. It was super wrong. Now, having said that, it doesn't really change the outcome at all that I came up with, because the actual abilities that the Kaiju have, like the fact that they need a planet that's polluted in order to properly survive there, their strength levels, the fact that they can be nuked from fucking space and instantly obliterated, all that stuff stays the same, and the fact that the Kaiju can't win in this universe does stay the same. The only real thing that's different is that they can open up portals on any planet they want to, which means, unlike what I said, they're not going to be stuck to a single planet. However, I don't think that's going to make much of a difference, because the Illuminate can do the exact same thing. Like, the Illuminate are an alien race from another universe that can open up portals anywhere they want to invade planets, and the Helldivers defeated them like 100 fucking years ago. So I don't really see how that's gonna help that much. It's something that the Helldivers have already faced in the past and have overcome, and they'll probably face it again in the future, because the creators of the game, you know, it's leaked that the Illuminati are supposed to come back in Helldivers 2, which super exciting. That's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, no, I mean, the Kaiju still lose, but you could basically forget everything I said about their origin, because it's similar, but no, that was Reign of Fire. They can send more Kaiju through the portals. So I initially said that only a couple of Kaiju could come through at any given time, usually somewhere between 1 and 3. They can't just send a whole army. And a lot of comments were saying, no, that's not true. In the movie, the aliens were having like an issue with the portals, that they couldn't actually send that many people through, but they are capable of sending whole armies to the planet if they want to. It's just plot reasons as to why they couldn't. And kind of a similar thing with the dark matter. I mean, the Helldivers had a bunch of dark matter. They used it all. I'm not just going to pretend that they don't. If the aliens can't send the Kaiju through, they can't send the Kaiju through. It just is what it is. Whether it's plot reasons or whatever, if they're having issues with their portals, I'm not just going to pretend that they don't. But honestly, even if I did pretend they don't, it doesn't change anything. They send the Kaiju through, the Kaiju get fucking nuked to non-existence, because the strongest Kaiju kaiju in the entire series was killed by being hit by, what, 2 or 3 nukes, I think? And he was dealt with. The Helldivers and the automatons have way stronger weapons than just basic bitch nukes. It really doesn't matter. If they want to send 1,000, they can send 1,000. They're still getting fucking obliterated by massive amounts of firepower. But yeah, in the video, no, they were only sending 2, 3 at a time because that's all they could fucking send in the movies. So I wasn't about to give them increased power just to make it more fair, you know? It is what it is. Kaijus are clones and can't breed. So yeah, this one's pretty simple. I had a lot of comments saying that they're clones and they don't breed normally. There's a pregnant kaiju in the first movie. Like, they actually, it's a whole scene. The baby pops out, it starts chasing Charlie Day, and then it just dies. Like, it's there. So they can, in fact, get pregnant. Now, if you're asking what is the point of making a whole cloning system if the kaiju were capable of impregnating each other and just multiplying normally, I don't fucking know. That's a good question. That's a question that you should ask Guillermo del Toro. But I can't answer it. But yeah, they can get pregnant and are also clones. Terminated blood would be just as bad as oil. Okay, so in the original video, I made the argument that because the kaiju cannot exist on planets where the pollution is not high enough, that they would not be able to survive on any of Super Earth's worlds because they have way less pollution than the Pacific Rim universe does. And my reasoning for that was because they don't use oil or gas or fossil fuels or any of that anymore. Terminated blood has a lot of the same properties as oil, and that's what they use to power a lot of their shit. Well, people were saying, why does that even matter? If the terminated blood works as oil, then it should still create all the same fossil fuels that oil does. The problem with that is that using oil is not really what causes all the fossil fuel problems. What causes the fossil fuel problems is transporting oil, creating gasoline from oil, and extracting oil. So fracking, pipelines, trucks traveling across the country, burning coal is another one that causes a lot of pollution. Basically, all that stuff is completely removed if you're using the blood of the terminids as your power source. Even if using the terminid blood does cause some form of pollution, like say using gasoline, it would still be considerably less than our real world because we've been able to eliminate all that other shit I just listed. Also, it's shown that large portions of society in the Helldivers universe is powered via nuclear power, which also doesn't cause the same pollution as something like gas or oil. So overall, there's just no reason to believe that the pollution is higher than it would be in Pacific Rim. And in Pacific Rim, they state straight up that the only reason why the kaiju attack now is because the pollution got to a high enough level that they could survive. There's just no reason to believe that Helldivers pollution is up to that point, considering where they get their energy from and how it's used based on what we know. Last up, but certainly not least, we have the mimics. And argument number 1 is just destroy the fucking mega. So I'll admit it's really weird I didn't bring this one up, but I didn't bring it up because I don't think it's going to be a factor. So yes, it's absolutely true that to completely wipe out the mimics, all you have to do is destroy the Omega. And if you destroy the Omega, they're gone. And then all the time loop bullshit just straight up doesn't matter. So everyone was arguing that no, the mimics wouldn't win because they can just destroy the Omega. The problem with that is that they have no way of actually finding out if the Omega exists, what it is, where it would be. Like, they don't know. In Edge of Tomorrow, Cage was able to find out where the Omega is because they had this device that was created by a scientist, which basically stuck in his leg, and it allowed him to see into the nervous system of the mimics and find out exactly where the Omega was. But that device doesn't exist in the Helldivers universe. And without it, they have no way of knowing not only where the Omega is, but if it even fucking exists. Like, what is it? They have no way of actually understanding how the mimics work without this device. So it's really just plot reasons as to why Cage was actually able to find and destroy the Omega. And much like the Thing, you could say that the Helldivers can just carpet bomb the whole planet, but in the movie, the Omega was underground, like deep underground, to defend against that very thing. So it's possible that they can carpet bomb the whole planet and kill every mimic alive and then still not actually get the Omega. And if they do carpet bomb the planet and hit an alpha, it'll reset fucking time, and then the mimics will know that the carpet bombing is going to occur and they can just have all their troops go underground. So yeah, I definitely should have talked about it, and it's weird that I didn't, but I don't think it really makes much of a difference. Not all soldiers wear full body armor. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kicking myself in the head for this one. So when I talked about the Thing, I talked about how the Helldivers have armor fully covering their body, which will defend them against the fucking assimilation shit. But I also said that the CEAF officers do not have full armor and will become assimilated. But then when I started talking about the mimics, I said that the armor on the Helldivers would actually stop them from becoming a part of the nervous system, therefore being a part of the time loop, which is the only way they can really overcome the threat. But I didn't mention that the CEAF officers don't have armor and can be part of the loop. Basically, the advantage like swaps. The weakness for the SCAF officers when fighting a thing became the strength when fighting the mimics. And with that being the case, yeah, that completely changes things. Because with the amount of people who are going to go to war and die, it's just going to be a matter of time before a CEAF officer gets the blood on them and becomes a part of the time loop. And with the sheer number of people who fight in these battles, like for instance, Malevelon Creek had 27 million Helldivers die. That's not even like the people who fought in the war. That's just how many people died. Only on the Helldiver side. That doesn't include SCAF officers or the automatons, who were both in the billions. The alphas are 1 in every 6 million mimics. So the odds with that number of people fighting against that number of mimics that no one's going to come across an alpha and have them bleed on them is virtually impossible. It's going to happen at some point. In fact, you're probably going to have tens of thousands of fucking people who are all going to be a part of the time loop. And once that happens, it's just a matter of time before the Helldivers just figure all this shit out. They'll be able to figure out that this whole nervous system time loop thing happens. They'll be able to figure out about the alpha. They might even be able to make some technology that can track it the same way they did in the Edge of Tomorrow movie. And yeah, they really can't win anymore. And if all that shit fails, you know, they can black hole the fucking planet that the mimics are on, and boom, you just solve the fucking problem. So yeah, I changed my mind. The mimics fucking lose. Helldivers fucking get through this whole thing pretty easily. See, motherfuckers, I'm not stubborn. I can have my mind changed. Ain't gotta be all bitchy about it. But that's gonna be all from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and join the membership. Remember, if you join the membership, you get videos early. And if you would like to continue this conversation in the Discord, I have the link down below in the pinned comment as well as the description of this video. And always remember, y'all stay safe out there, you hear?